Hi, this is Lara at Elliott Wave Gold and Elliott Wave Stock Market with an extra video update for you. This is not an analysis. This video is a recording of how I try and come up with an alternate. So the thinking process I go through is I try and work out an alternate for a difficult market and a difficult wave count. So this is the S&P. This is not gold. I've got no problems with the wave count with gold at the moment, but for the very short term I have a bit of a problem with what the S&P's done today. It's gone upwards, it's got a higher high and a higher low, the definition of upward movement, but the candlestick is red and it's got a really long upper wick. But we've got a bullish signal from on-balance volume, so I have to take that really seriously. So my invalidation point's reasonably close by, and I'm trying to figure out what if that invalidation point is passed. So I've got a couple of alternate wave counts at the daily and weekly chart level, and most of them that I can come up with are expecting a consolidation, a correction within the bull market here to last a few weeks. So that's what I'll be expecting. In the short term, though, I'm concerned at what's going to happen with this market when it opens after the 4th of July holiday. So this is my main hourly wave count. It's a series of overlapping first and second waves, and this is the problem I have with this wave count from an Elliott wave perspective. Here, minor wave 2 lasts 20 hours, minute wave 2 lasts 5 hours, but now minuet wave 2, if it completes in just one more hour, will last 16 hours. Now, that's not anything that would invalidate the wave count, but it's getting closer into proportion to minor wave 2 and much longer in proportion, in terms of duration that is, to minute wave 2. It's the proportion between waves that give a wave count what we call the right look. So this is starting to not have the right look. So I want to see, what if price does invalidate this? How much higher could it go? And what wave structure would fit that? So when I have different wave counts, I always put them on different tabs. So I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to create a new file. Sorry, I'm going to use this tab, a new wave count. I'm going to call it, because I'm just going to play around with it, and if I end up using it, then I'll rename it. So for now, let's just call it that. Okay, let's get rid of all the labelling of these subdivisions. Okay, so for the first thing, let's just clean up this chart because these are all going to be different. So we'll just highlight each and then delete each. Eventually the invalidation point can't be any higher than this point. Okay, now we've got a clean space to play with. The first thing I notice is this looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Could this be a diagonal? Could minor wave 1 be over here, and this upward movement could be minor wave 2? That actually could have a really good look. So let's put some labelling in there and see if this makes sense, and see, importantly, if it meets all rules. Okay, so the first rule regarding wavelengths, this would be an expanding diagonal. Minute 3 at 31.04 points is longer than 1. 5 is longer than 3. 4 at 23.59 is longer than 2, which is 19.68. Okay, so that meets all the rules for an expanding diagonal. Have I got this for 244297? What's this high? Yeah, I've got that on the right point. Okay, let's put the trend lines in. That doesn't look right. I'll make it the same colour as the labels, just for consistency. Okay, if this is an expanding diagonal, the trend lines should be diverging. These look like they're converging. Let's have a look. So this is definitely converging. That's a rule for a diagonal, for an expanding diagonal. The trend lines need to diverge. This breaks that rule, so that is invalid. It can't be over here. That just looks wrong. Unless that's wave A. What if the diagonal's not over? Just get those labels out of my way. What if it's an incomplete leading diagonal? What could that look like? So we could have 1, first, third and fifth waves within diagonals can subdivide as either zigzags or impulses. Most likely zigzags, but sometimes they're impulses. Could that be 1? That doesn't change the invalidation point at all. this still can't move beyond this, so this is essentially the same as the main wave count. And if it doesn't diverge in terms of expected direction or structure, and it's still incomplete, it still needs to be a double 3. If it doesn't have any divergence there, then there's really no reason to have such an alternate. Keep an eye on that, or keep it in mind, but I'm not going to publish something that had 0 divergence with my main wave count. That doesn't look right. If this is a zigzag for a first wave and we're in a zigzag for a second wave, then the third wave, let's move this across. Third wave ends somewhere around here. The fourth wave's going to have to be oh no, that's wrong. Well, unless the third wave is way down here. Diagonals normally adhere really well to their trend lines, so we can get overshoots, sure, but they're very rarely breached. If a diagonal doesn't adhere to its trend lines, you've got a problem. Let's get rid of that. I don't think that's right. Okay, so 1 can't be over there. There's so much overlapping. It could only be a diagonal, and it violates a rule. It can't be over here, because it can't be a 3-wave structure. What if it's so? Let's go back to it's over here. Okay, so let's have a look at the possibility that minor 2 is continuing. And the first thing it looks like it could be continuing is it's a flat correction, but I think we've got a problem here. Let's see, B as a ratio to A. It's 2.27 times the length of A. There's no rule regarding the length of B waves within flats, so there's no actual technical limit to their length. And I have seen in the past maybe 1, 2 or 3 expanded flats where the B waves are longer than twice the length of the A wave, but it's so incredibly rare, we really should discard the idea. So let's discard that idea. What about a combination? Okay, I can see a problem here. This W, could it be, could that be a flat? C, that looks like a 3, not a 5. That's wrong. I think this is a double zigzag. You can't have multiples within multiples, so I can't label a W wave with W, X, Y, because the maximum number of corrective structures within a multiple is 3. If you start labeling multiples within multiples, you increase that maximum beyond 3, and that violates an Elliott wave rule. So that doesn't work either, so it's not a flat and it's not a combination. Can't be a triangle. B would still be too long anyway. It has to be over. Oh goodness, I'm not really getting very far here. I haven't actually managed to find an alternate. The S&P does this. It's a really, really difficult market. Sometimes I really dislike it. I wish it would behave a bit more like gold. Oh well, we can't always get what we want. A third wave can only subdivide as an impulse. This just looks like an overlapping series of first and second waves. I'm back to where I started. Well, okay, it might look like that was a bit of a waste of time, but the conclusion I have to come to is I can't, at this stage, see an alternate to this wave count. Well, I can't see a way for minor wave 2 to be continuing. Oh, okay, what if? No, maybe. Okay, what if it's a B wave? That's the problem. No, not that. A combination. Okay, with W here, X here, oh okay, and then to have Y, okay, we may have a problem in here. Oh no, we don't. B is 1.84 times the length of A. Okay, well that's beyond the normal range, but it's within allowable limits. So W is a zigzag. Yeah, because this B is, less than 90% the length of A. So this is a zigzag, 535. We've got an X wave here, an expanded flat. And now, nice, we can see this as a 5 down. And that's really what it does look like. That there. And then there's an impulse in here for the third wave. Is there? Yeah, there is. Nice. And this is a 3, and it's a really obvious 3. That looks good, that's nice. And here, minute Y could be an expanded flat. How long is B in relation to A here? 1.58. Nice. A little bit longer than the normal range, but not by too much. Not sure about how to label this yet, and the middle of it would be incomplete. Oh, excellent. I actually didn't think I was going to find a good alternate for this. That wasn't easy. What's this price point? 2453.82. So it has to go higher. Let's put an arrow on here. To complete the structure of minuet C. And minuet C would be very, very likely to move at least above the end of A to avoid a very rare running flat. If we do get a running flat, then we should expect some really strong downward movement, but assume you're not going to get one because they are really rare. So it should move above 2442.97. Let's use a ratio between A and C to try and calculate a target. $2.444. Oh yeah. The whole thing doesn't really have a sideways look. I mean, if we're going to apply that convention that within an expanded flat, once B reaches more than twice the length of A, you should discard the idea. The same rationale really should be applied to combinations. Once X reaches more than twice the length of W, and this at 22.24 points is well, comfortably more than twice the length of this at 10.88 points. You really should discard the idea based upon a low probability. Well, I will possibly, I'll have a think about it, but I might publish it as an alternate, albeit one with quite a low probability. Okay, so I have found an alternate. It's it's not breaking guidelines, it's just not a conventional wave count. It has problems which reduce its probability, which means the whole point of that exercise to find an alternate, even if I didn't find a good one, if I don't find a good one, what that means is this main wave count should have a higher probability. And so we can have a little bit more confidence in it. Okay, so that's the process I go through with a difficult market to find an alternate for a wave count that has some problems. And then the other thing I'll do is I'll use some classic technical analysis, looking just at the daily chart and see, is there strength in this upward movement, is there weakness? We'll look at candlestick patterns, volume, on balance volume, RSI, stochastics, what else? Classic analysis patterns like pennants and flags, etc. and see if I can figure out what direction the market should be going next based on classic analysis. And if that aligns with my Elliott wave analysis, then I have a higher confidence in what should happen next. If it doesn't, we've got problems, and we should probably step aside depending on how many problems there are. That's all from me with that extra video update on how I come up with a wave count. I hope you found that useful and indicative of how to use Elliott wave a little bit. Thanks for watching.